Irish eyes were smiling when Sonia O'Sullivan signed a track and field scholarship at Villanova, and boy, did she sure make her homeland and university proud. This versatile Wildcat became the first woman in Division I history to secure a distance triple crown, claiming an NCAA trifecta of cross-country and indoor and outdoor titles in the same academic year. A couple of world records later, O'Sullivan made history yet again. In 1991, she led the Wildcats to their third consecutive NCAA cross-country championship while becoming the first Division I woman to achieve back-to-back cross-country crowns. Her historic journey brings her to the Hall of Fame stage tonight. Let's hear it for Villanova's Sonia O'Sullivan. Sonia O'Sullivan, and so if you ask why Villanova, you don't know the history of Villanova and the Irish. I mean, what is with this Irish pipeline to Villanova?
Well, I think it was word of mouth. I think the first Irish person to go to Villanova was, I think it was Jimmy Reardon, way back, I don't know, way back when. And, you know, he just met some Villanova athletes while he was at the Olympics, a 400-meter runner. And they just said, why don't you come over? And from then on, it was just word of mouth from Irish athlete to Irish athlete down through the years. And so it was mostly men. There was no real pipeline. Some people do ask, you know, was there a tunnel across there? Or, you know, what was it that got everybody over there? And so I think, you know, when Ronnie Delaney won a gold medal for Ireland, still the only Irish gold medal on the track. That was, I suppose, the connection for a lot of athletes to go to Villanova and to follow in his footsteps.
And what's it mean to you to be the first female athlete from Ireland to earn a scholarship to Villanova?
So it was back in 1987, and I was just 17 years old, and it was kind of a thing to do back then. A lot of athletes went to college in America on scholarship, and it was just assumed that you would go, and the hardest part was just deciding where to go. And I just wanted to go to a college where there was, I think I just wanted to go somewhere where I was the only Irish person there at the time, because I didn't want to go all the way to America and then have to hang out with Irish people. And then when I got there, the first person I met, I went to visit around Easter time, and Coach Marty Stern brought me over. I was probably, back then, I was probably one of the first athletes to ever go and visit a college from Ireland, to be flown over. I'd never been to America before. I got to Villanova, and I was supposed to stay for about 3 days, and I got off the plane. They said, well, there's good news and bad news. And the good news is that you're here. The bad news is you're going to have to go home one day early. And that was because of the NCAA rules. You could only stay 48 hours. So we filled in a lot in that time. Marty Stern took me down to Franklin Field in Philadelphia, and he said, well, this is where the Penn relays are. And I was with Vicky Huber and Kathy Franey, Gina Procaccio, and we all sat in the stands, and it was absolutely pouring down rain. And all I remember was the track was green, and I'd never seen a green track before. And the girls, they were like, oh, there's no way, she's never coming here. You know, we came sit in the empty stands in the rain, and he's trying to tell her these stories about the Penn relays and how great it is. And that was probably, you know, the thing that actually got me to come back to Villanova was, you know, the pictures of the Villanova girls running around the track, doing that lap of honor. And for me, it was all about, you know, joining a team and getting to run with other people. And I believe that by doing that, that I would get better.
We ran into each other earlier today, and I mentioned something I'd read that said Sonia had quit for a while. She said, I didn't quit. And I said, well, then it said that you'd taken it back up by sprinting back and forth to school, to before school and at lunchtime. Share that story, because it was very cute.
Yeah, so I suppose when I first started running was, you know, running from home to school, a bit like the Kenyans. My house was about a mile from school, so I'd run to school in the morning, and then we actually came home at lunchtime as well. And so it was about a mile, so I figured, you know, I was probably running about 4 miles a day in and out to school. But when you'd run home at lunchtime, if you could get home in about 5 minutes, then you'd have about 50 minutes at home for your lunch break. And, 5 to 2 when you'd be racing back to school again. But how I got myself home quick was I'd be running out the road, and I'd be looking at the poles along the road, and I'd look over my shoulder, and if there was a car coming, and I'd say, okay, I'm going to beat the car to the next pole. And if the car didn't catch me, I'd say, okay, well, get to the next pole. And so, I was probably doing training sessions, and I didn't even know it. Then when I went to secondary school, and my school was only 400 meters away, and you kind of think the people who live closest to school are always the ones who are late. They're never on time. And that's me my whole life, never on time. So the school bell would ring, and I'd be down home, and I would just have to leg it up the road. And I think that's probably how I got to be so good over that final 400 meters in the races, because I always had to race to school.
Hey, what's it like to have a life-size statue of yourself in your hometown? Not everybody can say that.
Yeah,
in fact, I don't know anybody that can say that.
Yeah, most people say you have to be dead to have a statue, But I say no. That's just the still version of me. So I'm always at home, even when I'm away. People all the time send me pictures of them beside my statue. I could be anywhere in the world, and someone will send me a picture and say, "Oh, we came to Cove, and you weren't here, but we got a photo."
Hey, watch out for Sophia O'Sullivan out at UW too. That's her daughter. All right, Sonia O'Sullivan, Hall of Famer.